Hello and welcome to the Rise live demo. We cannot show it in the actual presentation, but we do have a live demo working and we would like to show this. So here we have our risk identification file, and here we have the facts, a sample facts that are hard coded, but in our ideal world we would have a survey that would go out to the teachers and students, and we would record that survey and convert them to these facts. Let's have a quick look through the facts. We have the grade that Dan scored in history, science, math, English at 70%. We have that Dan is an ESL student, and we have that Dan has good attendance. Now, onto the rules of how we found risk identification, we have grades and academics. Uh, we have these four functions: science pass, math pass, English pass, and history pass. And these all are true when the grade by the students is greater than 70%. They have passed that respective class. So this is our first rule that allows us to look at academic performance. Then we define whether a person is academically good or not. You don't need to necessarily always score 80, 90% to be a good student. And so we have that fail-safe. So here we have conditions for that. If you don't pass English, but you pass all the rest of the classes, you're academically good. If you don't pass one class, basically, these four rules say that if you don't pass one class, and if you pass three other classes, then you're still academically good. Of course, if you pass all your classes, you are also academically good. From there, we then seek to provide the students some more academic categories. So if the grade in the science class and the math grade adds up to 170, then they are a specialized STEM student. They have an interest in STEM. So we say, oh, this is a STEM student. He or she favors STEM more. Then we have same thing with a social science, and then is honor roll, you do the same thing. And then we have a good English learner, which measures if it's a good English learner. Then we have some behavioral rules. So we measure emotion based on past, whether bad school past behavior, attendance. We measure how good the person is with others. We measure how motivated the student is. And then here is the actual risk calculation. So I'm going to run a live demo here. So here I have some facts, and I'm going to run and see whether this student, Dan, is at risk or not. So we do SCASP, negative I, at risk.pl, and if we do at risk, and then we write Dan, we get no models. And this is true because Dan passes all his classes, and even though he's an ESL student, he has good attendance and has good behavior with everyone because we don't have a lack of bad behavior here. So he's not at risk. Conversely, if we were to do this, we would get an actual model, as you can see here, that describes why he's not at risk. Now let's find out what we could tell the student. So here we go to our identification, and here we have maybe at risk or at risk. Since we have our student, he's not at risk, we will say that in our student evaluation, Dan is not at risk. And let's say we want to run that. Let me first write the SCASP. Let's say we want to run and find out the evaluation. Let's say we want to see if the student is alienated. Do we feel the student is alienated? We can simply do alienated students. Yes, Dan. And that will come back with no models, and that is true because because for an alien student, you need to be at risk, and if you're not at risk, then you are not an alienated student. We can do something here. We can have Dan have something called an immediate risk, which regardless of anything will put Dan on the risk radar. So if we go back to SCASP and have negative I at risk.pl, if we run at risk Dan, we will see that Dan will be at risk in a model. Okay, that's just the issue there. But Dan will be at risk in this model. And when we come back here and when we go at risk, and if we run this, SCASP negative I test.pl, and if we run this, alienated students, yes, Dan, we will see that he is in fact an alien student. Thank you for using RISE.